Hello, everybody, and welcome to Higher Ground. My name is Chris Hardwick. So glad you could join us, broadcasting from our cleft in the rock in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of western North Carolina. Now, all last week, and the week before, we were talking about who are you, but it's Monday now, and we're going to start a brand new series, and we're going to entitle it The Testimony of Jesus. And so we're going to spend some time looking at the Jesus and what he actually accomplished on the cross, and what that means for me and you in this day and hour. So anyway, we're going to start out in the Revelation of Jesus Christ, which is the last book in the Bible, and we're going to look in the 12th chapter, and we're going to start at the 11th verse, and I'll tell you how this came about. I just did communion in the church, that we attend and are on the leadership team, and which is the gathering in Moravian Falls, North Carolina. And so anyway, they asked me to do communion, and I thought, wow, okay, communion's pretty easy. It's, you simply you know how easy it is to talk about communion, but as I began to think about it, the Lord really turned on the lights and said, communion is the testimony of Jesus, or the testimony of himself. Now, I never looked at it that way. I looked at it as do this in remembrance and all of that, and what the body means and what the blood means and all of that, and for years, I've been a Christian more than 43 years, so in reality, I'd never thought of it differently, but the Lord turned on the lights, and I'm going to start in a verse here. This is the Revelation, and I call it the Revelation because it's not Revelations, it's the revelation of Jesus Christ, and that's a good thing. It's not the revelation of the Antichrist, the 666, the beast, the system. It is the revelation of Jesus, and it's true in every Bible. That's what it says. When you open it up, it says the revelation of Jesus Christ. All right, well, we're going to look at verse 11, and I'm just going to read this, and I'm going to comment on it. It says, "And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they did not love their life even to death." Now, you know this verse, but the Lord showed me that communion really is the testimony of Jesus. In this verse right here, even though it says, "And they overcame them because of the blood of the word," or blood of the Lamb, and the word of their testimony, but in reality, our testimony is not a testimony outside of Jesus. So in reality, what this is really saying is the testimony of Jesus in our agreement with that testimony. Without Jesus, we are nothing. Without Jesus, we don't have a testimony. And so this is talking about overcoming the evil one. Now listen, when you take communion, this is in reality about overcoming the evil one by putting the testimony of Jesus out there. What does the blood represent, and what does the bread represent? Okay, well, number one, it says in Isaiah 53, and if you want to turn there, that's okay. We'll take a look at that because this fits with this verse I'm just talking about. It says, and I know I'm planting a lot of seed tonight, but I promise you before the end of this week, you're going to have a very clear in understanding of what Jesus really did and what it applies, how it applies to you, and how we should be speaking into the atmosphere, and how we should be laying hands on the sick and recover, because our authority comes from what Jesus has already done. Okay, so Isaiah 53, and we're going to look at verse 1. It says, "Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he shall grow up before him a tender plant, and like a root out of parched ground. He has no stately form or majesty that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should be attracted to him. He was despised and forsaken of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and like one from whom men hide their face. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely our griefs he himself bore, and our sorrows he carried. Yet we ourselves esteemed him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was pierced through for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities, and the chastising for our well-being fell upon him, and by his scourging we are healed. It says in Peter, by his scourging we are healed, not are going to be healed, but already are. We are healed. Past tense. Okay, well listen, let's look at this, because a lot of people, they talk about healing as, the ultimate healing is when you die and go to heaven. But Jesus Christ is already bought and paid for on this side of heaven. And let's look at verse 4 in particular. Surely our griefs he himself bore. Now that word griefs actually is in the Hebrew, the word is koli, and it literally means sickness and disease. Sickness and disease. Now we're talking about physical sickness, and we're talking about disease. Now, a lot of people don't understand what a disease really is, but it's a dis-ease. In other words, it's an attack on your mind. Now, there are certain things, they even call alcoholism disease, but in reality, there's something that comes as a result of trauma, possibly. A lot of people get diseases because of trauma and in some type of attack. It could be a physical attack, but it's mostly, some of that's in the mind. That's why it's called a disease. And but God, it doesn't matter, because Jesus himself bore our griefs, or our physical sicknesses and our diseases. And then it says here, he carried our sorrows. And that word sorrows in the Strong's, in the Hebrew word, is makab. And it actually means pain, physical, or pain mental. In other words, Jesus died so that you could be delivered of depression as well, mind diseases, chemical imbalances, all of those things. And so our authority comes from what Jesus has already accomplished on the cross. Now, getting back to Revelation 12:11 here. It says, and they overcame the evil one because of the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives even unto death. Well, listen, the testimony of Jesus is the stripes that he took on his back. Those stripes, those 39 stripes he took on the back in particular, represent every disease known to man. It's the basis for everything. Disease-wise and sickness-wise. Those 39 stripes that he took on his back was so that we would be able to obtain physical and mental healing in this age, on this side of heaven. And we're going to look a closer look at that tomorrow, because we're down to our last minute in the broadcast. But the other part of that is the blood of the Lamb. The blood of the Lamb. Do you realize you're a new creation? You have a new heart. You've been born again. And the blood of Jesus runs through your veins. Do you realize that it's your blood cycles on average every 45 seconds? Every 45 seconds, the blood goes from your heart all the way through your body and back to your heart. Well, the life is in the blood. The life of Jesus is in the blood. The blood of the Lamb, we overcome the evil one. We overcome all disease, sickness, malady, infirmity, cancer, all of these foreign entities that may be possessing areas of our body that don't belong there as born-again Christians because of what Jesus has already done. And so they overcame them because of the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they did not love their life even unto death. And the Lord is even taking care of the fear of death. And we're going to look closer at this tomorrow. Do not miss the broadcast Higher Ground tomorrow. We'll pick this up on Tuesday, and we're going to go deep. We're going to run deep. We're going to go deep. And you'll have a way better understanding, I promise you, before this week is over. Well, God bless you. Go out and make it a great Monday, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow. Blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.